Welcome back, YouTubers, to a debuting video feature with us, the British Fist.
Judging.
Mr. Parkin here, NJ sitting next to me here as usual.
What's up?
Subscribe above, like this video, and comment your thoughts on this edition of Raw down in that comment section below.
Make sure you contact us in the link in the description box below.
Yes, the video feature we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing something called the WWE Raw Rundown, very similar to our Friday video where we just skim through the show, take out some talking points. The main things we're going to be talking about in this show are we're going to be talking about the PPV matches announced on this Raw, the in-ring action, some of the character enhancement we saw on this show, some of the storyline advancement, and then we're going to be talking about the main talking point which we felt throughout the show, and is the only reason that we were ever going to watch this show, was pretty much the Shield.
With this concept we've got, we like the idea. We're going to see how it goes, see what the viewers, YouTubers think, and then go here from there. But I really look forward to seeing what you have to say, because Raw has its good, bad, and ugly.
It always seems to have its good, bad, and ugly. But basically, while we're taking a break from Raw, we want to introduce a format where we can still skim through the show. I mean, it took us, what, 15 minutes to skim through the show, because the only really interesting thing we were really interested in was the Shield stuff, and we skipped through a lot of this show, guys, and it really did seem like Raw was business as usual, so I'm very glad that I didn't watch Raw last night, and instead I've chosen to do it like this on a Tuesday instead. So let's get straight on now to the pay-per-view matches that are announced on this edition of Raw. So effectively last night we had the announcement of 3 pay-per-view matches going into TLC, which is now 3 weeks away. The first of which is going to be a TLC match between CM Punk and Ryback. And I guess as John Cena was pinned at Survivor Series, this was the most logical route to go down, would you say? Especially after Ryback was screwed out of his title match again.
I think that does play the biggest role in this, especially with Cena may not being 100%. They wanted something to still go on. Yes, we have the announcement that, or the speech that this match has happened before, CM Punk's beat him, but this match definitely stands out as one that should continue to happen, maybe for one more pay-per-view, depending on how they're going to go around with this match.
It is essentially, I believe, a filler match. There's going to be some bullshit ending with the NXT guys coming down and interfering, and I just wonder, can Ryback work a TLC match? Is it too early for him to be working a match like this?
I wouldn't say no, because I think with Ryback still trying to prove him as a main eventer, the weapons are really going to help him not to have work too much. This match could probably get quite a bit of time thanks to weapon usage instead of just one-on-one wrestling.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to with this match. I'm looking forward to seeing how they use Ryback's power moves with the tables and the ladders and the chairs, and seeing, because usually you see high flyers and stuff in here, you don't usually see power guys in TLC matches, so it'd be interesting to see how they do it that way. Another match we got announced on this show, which we kind of knew was going to happen from Survivor Series, so this makes logical sense, is Sheamus versus Big Show in what may presumably be their blow-off match at TLC in a chairs match. This was pretty much, could have been announced like the Survivor Series pretty much, couldn't it?
Even though they have teased this since Survivor Series and so on, I really don't care about chair matches. No. Yeah, you give it to these two, whoop-de-doo, I don't really care, but this should be the payoff. Hopefully, again, we have different debates who's going to win, which we'll get later down the line. But this match was expected.
Yeah, I mean, the chairs match makes sense, as that's kind of what happened at Survivor Series. They're going to keep playing down that chair gimmick, similar to what they did on Raw this week as well in that segment. Kofi Kingston versus Wade Barrett for the IC belt was announced. I still think, and we will talk about this later, it is very devaluing of Wade Barrett's character that he's happy to go after the IC belt.
Sad we saw this match coming, because obviously they did announce it. They did say it last week, and do I care about this match being made? Not really, and like Dan said, we're going to go down later in this video and explain more why.
Indeed, and in the next, if you've got 3 pay-per-view match announcers there, they all make somewhat sense, so we expect maybe 3 or 4 more to get added as the weeks go by. We're 3 weeks away from TLC now. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about some of the in-ring action on this show, whether it was meaningful or whether it was not meaningful. So on this edition of Raw, we had 8 matches, and I guess you could say maybe 3 or 4 of them are quite interesting. I think the second hour had 3 matches in a row, which I feel could have engaged our attention if we did watch the match. I mean, you had Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio, hyping up that potential Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio versus Team Hell No match, which is the first time that's ever happened. I'm surprised they didn't do this at pay-per-view, to be honest.
Even though I don't really care about this week's Raw for numerous reasons, the second hour did pick up with more directional, interesting matches. Bryan and Rey, even the commentators pointed out, the first time these are going against each other in a way, and you do expect that these two could put on a good pay-per-view worthy match, but with Bryan maybe slipping up towards the main event again in a few years' time, or whatever their pace they're going to go in, this match, again, I feel it could have been done higher up, but this match was pretty good for Raw.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good Raw match from what I've heard. We didn't actually watch the match, we just heard reports of the match. Daniel Bryan lost, which kind of surprises me because Daniel Bryan is one of the most over guys on the TV show right now, and Ray didn't really need to win this, in my opinion, so I'm not really sure why Daniel Bryan's jobbing here.
Well, I'm quite happy that Bryan lost. Not for the Bryan fans to hate me for this, but the fact they're still going down the gimmick that Bryan might be the reason why they lose the tag title.
Yeah,
I think, obviously, having Ray, who's going to probably be the next challenger for the title, having Ray beat him is probably teasing the fact that we could have new tag champs.
We also had Sheamus versus Cesaro as well. I think the interesting point about this match is you're using your US champion and you're elevating him against the main event guy, but he didn't lose clean. You always thought Cesaro was going to lose clean, but he won. Sheamus won by count out instead, so at least it wasn't clean for once.
The thing about Sheamus is that they are using a lot of younger talent to go against him. Like we've had Sandow do before. We had Bryan before he came up to the main event. We've got now we've got Cesaro. So I think they're using a lot of talent who maybe should not be going against Sheamus just yet. But with this match, I do give it credit. Even though it was a match that I didn't agree with, it got a good amount of time. It looked pretty good. And the fact that it weren't just a squash match still makes Cesaro have some future ahead of him.
Yeah, still don't care about Cesaro, but I've heard this match definitely made him look impressive, which is the one thing you need a mid-carder to do against the main eventer, and of course not do the job clean. Let's just hope they don't do this match to fucking hell now. We had also Ziggler versus Cena. I mean, these two always put on good matches, but I guess my main question here is if they're going to have this match at TLC, why are they having Cena, the babyface, go over clean here, unless they're setting up a tag team match, including AJ and Tamina?
I look at this match and think, yes, it was going to happen somewhere down the line, but the way they set this match up, obviously John Cena thinking he's all that, saying, let's do it right here, right now, blah, blah, blah. But this match, it was okay. You had Ziggler trying to get against John Cena, but by the end, you all knew that John Cena overcoming this storyline, this whole Vicky and AJ thing. You knew John Cena was going to get the overall win, which is basically saying, right, this uprising star being Ziggler, going against your best in the company, and this is how the first match finishes.
So yeah, so we had four there. We had three interesting matches, in my opinion, that I could see myself watching. You then had Tamina versus Alicia Fox, Ryback versus O'Neal, CM Punk versus Kane was there pretty much filler to the main event, and then you had the pointless filler. Great Khali versus Del Rio with the whole Rosa Mendes and Hornswoggle thing. What's the point?
Well, the matches that we had before, the Tamina, I guess she did impress me in that match, but I think they're rebuilding her back up. Ryback and O'Neal, okay, yeah, I guess at least not against a jobber. Well, local wrestler, shall I say, because he is a jobber. Punk Kane, seen it before, but pretty good match, which you do expect from a Monster Kane. But obviously, there'll be more to that later on. And the pointless filler, the Del Rio and Rosa thing, it got ruined in one show. Before, yes, it could have teased, it could have been interesting, but now they've blown it out the window for me. Don't really care. Sando Ryder.
We've seen it so many times. I'd say at least on this Raw, we didn't get a massive amount of repeated matches like we did last week. So that is our thoughts on the in-ring action. Now we're going to move on to more important things, such as the character enhancements. The main set of characters that we were very interested to see how they would enhance them was none other than the three NXT guys, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns, who we now know are called The Shield. They had an interview segment which was there to pretty much get their characters on board. They were in an unknown location. In my opinion, though, it would have been better if Michael Cole didn't give who they were away at Survivor Series. Then we may have at least had some intrigue. I mean, I know a lot of us know who they are. We would have at least have had some intrigue as to who they might be, and they could have played off that for a little bit rather than immediately knowing who they were. I just think that might have been made better for an invasion angle, personally.
Well, on the other side of that, I'm glad that they announced who they were, because some people just like, who are these people coming in? And they badmouth them thinking, what the hell were they getting involved for? The fact you told her who they are is probably going to prevent people from bad-mouthing these newcomers. So in a way, I thought the way they built up to this certain promo, which we're going to talk about now, I think it was nicely done.
We never badmouthed the Aces and Eights, even though we didn't know who they were. I'm just saying.
With that's different because I think the way obviously we don't want WWE to copy TNA, so I think the fact that the WWE are going down a direction because they haven't got masks on, they were just clear characters. We saw who they were, so I think for WWE to announce who they were, I think it was just a really progressive step.
I just want to point out one thing here. Out of all the people in the group, I know a lot of people go on about Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and they are very good talents, especially Dean Ambrose. But to me personally, the guy who looked, and I repeat, looked the most impressive was definitely Roman Reigns. He seems like the kind of guy, in my opinion, who could really benefit from this group and be a main event player down the line, simply because he has that look that you think Vince McMahon would really push a guy on.
Well, with Roman, I like the way when they all got to speak. Yeah. That was really good. They were all getting their names out there, getting the direction, the reason behind this. And I really was impressed by how they spoke and how they bigged up this storyline. Then you had Roman, yes, the quiet one, the one that speaks when he needs to, when he wants to. This definitely makes him stand out. Like, there's something important about me, there's something special about me. I'm the one who does stuff my way. So I think the way they did this, especially on Roman's side, was really strongly done.
Yeah, and we get the whole thing where the Shield are about principle and honor. They're a shield from injustice. And, you know, that I felt that was good. They explained exactly why they're doing what they're doing, because people are getting the spotlight they don't feel deserve it. And so it was a good segment, in my opinion, that didn't give away too much, but we still got a little bit more to kind of keep us intrigued as to who they were.
My interest about this part was the fact they said, if it was the other way round and Ryback was the long-reigning champion, we'd be on his behalf to take out Punk. Because Michael asked, are you working behind the WWE champion, CM Punk? And they said, no. And that was really good, because obviously it shows that there's something more to this storyline, more to what their reason behind is. And like I said weeks ago, I think it's all a big Maddox involvement. Yes, we'll probably get more teasers or more build-up down the weeks. But this was the far best part of Raw. It got me interested in each one of those three, the future of this storyline. And with the boring stuff that happened from Raw, it was going to be hard to follow on from this.
Yeah, and hence why this is the thing we've talked about for pretty much the longest. Now what we're going to do is we're going to now talk about some of the rest of the character enhancement on Raw this week. There are 4 main characters we want to focus on in this Raw rundown, and the first of which, in my opinion, was the guy that opened the show, and that is none other than Ryback. He came out in the opener, said that he was prepared to take a stand and prepared to put a stand in protest until he gets CM Punk at TLC, and I guess my main question here is, why the hell is Ryback talking? You've just got this really great character here who doesn't need to talk, yet he's cutting promos now, opening Raw. I mean, I don't mind him talking, I guess, but make him a bit different from other people and not have him talk. That would make him stand out a little bit more, in my opinion.
With me, I think the problem I had with Ryback, yes, it was the big push he had going straight to here. I was totally against how quick they pushed this. But the fact they've done it now, it's happening. I think we needed to believe in him more. So for him to cut promo for the second, probably third week now, more than just feed me, Punk, or where he's going to go on blabber on about. The fact that he got a bit more of a stronger promo, a bit more of a way to say, right, I'm speaking to the audience now, I'm getting the audience to believe in me more, I'm talking directly to Punk. I think this promo, yes, it went on a bit longer thanks to Vicky, but I think Ryback here definitely, his character got a lot stronger for me. And I think it helped to set up TLC, so I was very happy with the way Ryback did this.
Yeah, I'm just not sure I like Ryback talking. I don't mind him talking a little bit, but talking loads in like a promo segment, just don't really think it fits the Ryback character personally, but that's just my opinion. I think one thing we both can agree on here is that Cena and AJ are now in love. And one thing I want to pinpoint from their promo segment, I believe AJ Lee said that she can do what she wants. And I think, to be honest, that exposes how terrible this storyline is, and how terrible some of the characters are in this storyline. For God's sake, Cena and AJ are both single. What is the issue with these guys you know, maybe being in love or whatever? What's the big issue? What have Dolph Ziggler and Vicky Guerrero got against this? I guess, again, it's the storytelling, but more specifically the characters. Why are AJ Lee and Cena all of a sudden cast in doubt? Why are they feuding with these now? Why are they continuing with this feud?
The way I see this is that, again, with AJ for the past few months, even though I've not really liked her time in the WWE, I think, obviously, whoever gets involved with AJ gets some spotlight for a short period of time. So the fact you got Ziggler involved with AJ somehow and Cena. That's getting him spotlight. Vicky, well, she had it and it's gone. No one really cares about Vicky as much as they used to when Edge was around. But this whole promo, it really sucked, really bored me. I was looking at my clock saying 5, 4, 3, I was still going. It really sucked. There's only one bit that really stood out for me, and that was when AJ said to Vicky, the only way you're actually going to get a man is by being the GM, but you can't do that anymore. So that really stood out and really slapped Vicky in the face. And the fact that AJ can do what she wants, yeah, she's going to get a nickname quite fast.
Yeah, just another character. I mean, the Cena character again, the AJ character, they've both kind of been a bit messed up by this storyline, but there you go, that's WWE writing for you. The final character we want to talk about, we know we've talked about him a lot, but Wade Barrett is still content with the IC title. When he made that promo when he first returned, he said that anything other than a World Championship match would be a joke, and now he's happy to go after the IC belt. I mean, you had a character that was there, and you could have brought him back really strong, and now the character has gone down there, and it is a real shame in my opinion. But at least, I guess you could say at least he's in a feud, which he hasn't been for the last 4 months.
I really don't care about this. The WWE, what the hell are you thinking? You've got Wade Barrett, who quite clearly from the Nexus to be about now, since you slipped him back down to the IC, which you already had, and when you how bad of a feud that was against Zeke, you've got him a possible main event here, something that I was looking forward to seeing the main event. And you really brought him back down instead of moving him up. And I just blame the fact that WWE have so many ideas going that they're having to push possible future main eventers downwards.
Yeah, now we've talked about the character enhancement. Now we're going to talk about some of the storyline advancements. Yay! So really, other than the Shield faction and the stuff we're going to be talking about in our next segment, which is main talking point of the show, there wasn't really that much storyline advancement this week. I mean, you look at the tag team title feud that they might be having between Sin Cara, Rey, and Team Hell No. Team Hell No were both in singles matches. You had Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio, but there was no real storytelling or no real storyline advancement between these two tag teams on the show, really.
I think as we've still got weeks going to the pay-per-view, yes, it affects this week, because obviously every week is important in the pay-per-views, but I think the fact they teased it was at least something for this Raw.
Yeah, and Cesaro and Truth feud for the US Championship. I know we don't care about it, but Truth was, I believe, meeting Truth, so they couldn't really do too much with that there. Barrett and Kofi feud was continued by pretty much one guy in a match while one guy is on commentary segment, which we see way too much in WWE and is getting really bland and vanilla right now.
Even though it's the IC feud, like you've just heard, we're already against Barrett doing this, but Barrett's a heel. Why do you not just come in and just beat the hell out of Kofi? Yes, Kofi's the fan favourite and everything, but you could have made Wade Barrett look really determined, really against anyone who's lower than him.
And do you still believe in a Kofi Kingston push, MJ?
I wish I could say yes, but the fact that he's going against Wade Barrett, but that's more a step down for Wade Barrett, but a step up for Kofi, but that's how I see it.
And then the whole Cena and Ziggler thing, which you've discussed already, it was another promo segment which we just want to shoot ourselves. I mean, I didn't watch the promo, I'm fed up with this storyline. Anyway, now we've talked about the very little storyline progression on this week's Raw, which is probably one of the reasons why it was very uneventful. We're now going to talk about the main talking point on this edition of Raw, which would be the NXT guys stuff and also the main event segment. So I guess you could say the main talking point on this Raw, and the main talking point for us, and I think for you guys out there, will obviously be how the Shield got involved in this edition of Raw, and how the Punk Ryback feud continued using the Shield and interweaving it in that with the attack on Ryback, etc. In the main event scene, which we did watch, by the way, we skipped the match, but we watched that, or I skipped the match, sorry, I should say. NXT guys attack Ryback, and Punk stands over Ryback. It's pretty much the standard NXT guy stuff, even though Ryback did get a lot more offense in this time.
And that's the thing, because I think with this Raw, obviously the main point for this Raw are going to be the Shield stuff, which again got people interested because they've been involved in the main event scene and what Punk's future is. The thing I want to say about this is the reason I've been so, let's say, knowing of what's happened is because Tuesday morning when Raw finished, I did watch the important segments, which got lots of compliments, or compliments at least, from people on Twitter.
Yeah, and I didn't watch any of it. I just watched the interview segment, and I just watched the end of the main event segment. So I effectively only watched about 7 minutes of Raw, and I couldn't be fucking happier right now. But the main event segment itself, we'll talk about that quickly. That'll obviously be the main talking point. I think the thing that we want to talk about here mainly is why are they here? I mean, we haven't really got... They told us why they're here. Who are they aligned with? Are they aligned with Paul Heyman? Are they aligned with Brad Maddox? You know, what is their purpose on this show? I mean, that's going to be a massive thing going into the future. What are these guys doing? Who is their leader? Because it seems to me right now that Roman Reigns is leading the group per se. He's the one that's got spotlighted the most with the spear on Ryback, whereas the rest of the guys pretty much couldn't beat up Ryback. But you ended the show with CM Punk standing over Ryback, and you know, that'll be the main talking point of this show.
I do think that, again, I think the Shield overpowered Punk, especially by coming out.
Yeah.
Punk having to flee the ring while the NXTs did their job. And I really think that, yes, you've got CM Punk who's past his year now, so he's got his accomplishment. The NXTs are in. As soon as they step in, Punk doesn't get knocked down to the bottom, but loses his power, especially at the end of this Raw.
He basically becomes a cog in a wheel, and the NXT guys are getting more focused than the guy who's supposed to be your champion for over a year. You know, how are we supposed to believe that a guy is a champion and has really been made into a star, which is an idea for a future video, I still feel, but how are we supposed to believe that this guy is a massive star when he's getting overridden by 3 NXT guys and he's just a cowardly heel like every other damn heel on the roster? I'm sorry. I know you guys out there may like CM Punk as a character, especially I know you like CM Punk. I like CM Punk as well, but I'm at least man enough to sit there and admit when, you know, when the character really isn't working. And this is an example of a CM Punk character really not working, in my opinion. Just saying. Anything else you want to say about this before we move on?
No, I thought the main event, it felt like CM Punk got the main event of Raw, good for him, but again, the whole overshadowing is the biggest thing I think came from this show.
Yep, so basically for me, it seemed like a very uneventful show with a couple of things maybe I would have watched, but not worth watching 3 hours. Bring back 2 hours, please, WWE. So give us your thoughts on Raw down in the comment section below. Like we've done here, we've analysed certain large aspects of the show rather than run down the whole card like we usually do. And I know this video has gone on quite long, but we did have a fair amount to say. You know, we can't just take... I mean, while we're taking a break, it was very hard for me to not look at tweets, I'll say that. It was quite hard.
The fact that most people are still watching Raw, even though we took a step back. The fact that Twitter is a popular place for us to go to when Raw's on. It was flooded with stuff, so we still knew what was going on and how people felt about it. And obviously, it helped us to decide what we're going to do in this video.
Pretty much. So give us your thoughts on the comment section below. This will probably be the way we go going forward, where we analyse it this way. WWE Raw Rundown, as you see in the title above. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you have... We're still taking a break from Raw, but we're only looking at it very gradually. Well, I am anyway.
Well, people, thank you very much for watching this video. All I'm going to say is that if you enjoyed this concept, let us know in the comment section below, because next week we're going to do the exact same thing. Give us your thoughts. We'll give you ours. And until next time, from Mr. Parkin sitting right here, and me and Jason right here, thank you very much, and goodbye.